Hey all, Wild Weather here for LiveWeatherBlogs.com. It's coming up on midnight, going into Thursday morning, and we have a very dangerous situation perhaps developing. Well, first for Cuba here. Jamaica is past, Sandy's past Jamaica, but as Sandy went over Jamaica today, it really came off quite well and really has strengthened, intensified very rapidly since, say, about 7 o'clock, 7:30. Matter of fact, we're down to 954 millibars and a very, very well-defined eye closing in on the coastal communities of southern Cuba here. Very dangerous storm for them. Latest estimated winds 90 miles per hour from the recon. I'm looking at this eye. I'm sure it's higher than that. Um, Definitely aloft, if not at the surface. The storm is all systems go until it reaches land here, and even when it gets out over here, it's moving at a fairly brisk pace at 12 miles per hour. Now it's moving due north. Looked like it was heading a little bit, wandering a little bit to the east now, but moving due north now, and then it will cross right over the eastern part of Cuba here and emerge down here in the southern Bahamas. See the clouds already up here starting to bend off to the left a little bit. This is in reference to an upper level low that's actually digging down behind Sandy and kind of pulling Sandy in this direction here. So that's the first mechanism for Sandy to be steered is through the upper level low, and then come up to this position and kind of be left behind here until the next steering system comes along, which will be developing a very sharp developing East Coast trough with plenty of blocking to the northeast, which could become very problematic for along the East Coast, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Let's zoom in here to Sandy. This is the Caribbean Rainbow Loop from the National Weather Service. Really get in here closer, and this is a very formidable storm. Look at this eye. A little ragged there, and then boom, look at these thunderstorms that develop in the west and northwest side wrapping around. Classic textbook hurricane right now, getting ready to slam Cuba here. If you're in Cuba and listening to this, batten down the hatches. The worst of the storm is probably only hours or a couple hours away. Cross over the Cuban the country of Cuba, then emerge out here in the southern Bahamas. All right, now let's take a look at the. This is the Euro operational, and once it takes Sandy, hooks it toward the coast, bounces it back out, and then hooks it back in again. Folks, if this European model were to come to fruition, basically, let's say Ocean City, Maryland points north and east would just be hammered. Hammered, hammered, hammered. Very strong gusty winds, power outages, flooding. Coastal flooding would be tremendous. You got a high tide because of the full moon, and this would be a very bad situation right here. Now the GFS is decidedly further offshore, but even so, look at this storm, how it just expands out and becomes, when it becomes non-tropical in nature as it transitions probably up in this area here. If it can get along that Gulf Stream and stay over that warm water, it's going to hold its intensity. And then you got this big barreling trough coming down. This thing phases, and if it does, we're going to be looking at a historic storm along the East Coast, a storm that you won't soon forget. But the jury's still out, but this Euro model has been very consistent in showing a hook back to the left, to the west, and a few other models have jumped on board, some jumping on board and jumping off, but it's all in the phase here, folks, as Hurricane Sandy comes north, does a phase, and if it does, boom, it's going to be quite a storm. Now, let's take a look. The GFS was just coming in, and sorry for this. Like, the site must be a lot of people on the site tonight. The site's kind of down. So, but let's take a look at the Euro here again. And again, Euro right now has been pretty much consistent, showing the same track now for about 4 days now. So you gotta start getting concerned. And if you're basically anywhere along the East Coast, because 50-mile-per-hour winds are going to scrape even these coastal sections of South Carolina, North Carolina. But especially if you're in the coast, say the Outer Banks points north, really going to need to take a look at this and be prepared in case a very large tropical slash extratropical expanding storm were to affect your area. That's all I have for tonight. We're going to leave you with this picture here. Cuba, get ready. You're first. You're next in line. This is a nasty-looking hurricane, um, Sandy. Pressure was at 970 millibars at 5 o'clock, and it's at 954 millibars. That's a tremendous drop. So this comes on shore here. I'm sure winds are over at 100, or if not over, and the intensity of this is probably a strong category 2, maybe borderline even category 3 hurricane, and it's much more powerful than the models had predicted in this area. But Cuba's got a lot of mountains here, so I thought Jamaica would slow it down a little bit with the mountains. It did not. So you can tell that the conditions here are very favorable for development at this time. A little dry air trying to come in. You can see the southwest side get squashed a little bit, but the land should slow her down a little bit, and probably still be a hurricane when she emerges out over here in the southern Bahamas. That's all I have for tonight. Definitely keep an eye on this and check back to livewiththeblogs.com. We'll have some more updates coming up. If you're along the Florida coast, get ready for high, strong winds, 50 miles per hour, probably at least 3 to 4 inches of rain. You're first, and then we watch the East Coast. It could be some major impacts.